All right, guys. So if you are in station one, you should be looking at this side of your page where it says problem one. So it reads, fill in the blank to explain how to solve for P. And right now we have 8 plus P equals W. So right now we're going to try to get P by itself. So we're going to say to solve for P, I will subtract the 8 on both sides of the equation. So if you remember the don't call me after midnight stuff, you would have to first distribute, then combine like terms, move your variable to one side, and then add or subtract and then multiply and divide. So we don't have anything to distribute. We don't have anything where we combine like terms. And now we're trying to get the variable on one side by itself. So that is why we're getting rid of that 8 and moving it over. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite this as 8 plus P is equal to W. And then subtract and we're subtracting because this is a positive 8. So we will do the opposite operation, which is subtract. So we'll have P is equal to W minus 8. And that's actually P solved. We don't have to do anything more for that first one. Now if you scroll down, we have one that is a little bit different, where we are solving to get M by itself. Now I'm going to write this. So as a reminder, anytime you see a letter beside another letter or a letter beside a number, that is implied multiplication. So we have E is equal to M times C squared. Keep that in mind. So run through it. Don't call me after midnight. We cannot distribute anything. Usually you would see distributing with parentheses. We cannot combine any like terms. That would usually be with adding or subtracting with things that have the same variable. Remember, variable is just another word for a letter. And then we are going to try to move stuff over to get the M by itself. So how we're going to get the M by itself is we need to get rid of that C squared somehow. Now, notice that C squared is multiplied to M, so we would just do the opposite of multiplication, which would be division. So I'm going to divide both sides by C squared. So we will have E over C squared is equal to M. And that's all you're going to have to say for when you solve for M. I did want to take the opportunity with this one to talk about something else you're going to see with a scavenger hunt, which is if I want to get C by itself, how would I go about that? So off to the side here, I want you to write solve for C. I'm going to rewrite it. So E equals MC squared. I'm going to still do the multiplication. M times C squared. So we can't distribute, we can't combine like terms. Our first step is going to be to get that C on one side by itself. I'm once again going to divide, but this time I'm dividing by M. So I have E over M is equal to C squared. Now, what we have not talked about before is what to do to get rid of an exponent. So in this case, we have an exponent of 2. So how we're going to get rid of that would be doing a square root or a root 2. So what that looks like, a root sign just looks like this. Now, the basic one that I just drew right here is an implied 2. So if you want to write that, or if you want to do specifically with a squared, that is both correct. For instance, if this was a 3, don't write this down. It would be it would be a cube root, like so. But right now, this is just squared. So I'm just gonna take the square root of both sides, and that will cancel out my exponent of 2. So my final answer here, I'm gonna write the little 2 right here. E, or the square root of E divided by M equals C. So that is how you would approach it with a exponent, which is the little number up top, by the way, if you didn't know. And then lastly, for station 1, we're just solving for x and y equals mx plus b. I'm going to rewrite it again. So y is equal to m times x plus b. We cannot distribute, we cannot combine like terms. So in order to get x by itself, we actually have to do two things. We have to get rid of the b and we have to get rid of the m. So remember in the don't call me after midnight, addition and subtraction comes before multiplication and division. So that means we have to do our addition and subtraction first. So I'm going to do the opposite of my adding b and subtract b instead. So I have a y minus b is equal to m times x. And then I would just do the opposite of multiplication, which would be dividing both sides by m. So x in its final form is y minus b all over m. And that is it for station 1.